Among the evolution, obviously, there is the energy evolution, and in particular climate change, which is shaping part of the evolution of our world and of the planet, and also geopolitics, probably. It's more not only energy, it's more than that. So I think this is fundamental. There are new technologies, there are some coalition of countries, net zero countries, which represent 60% of the emissions today. There will be a very big event in Glasgow. But I would say it's a trend which is shaping, because it's a revolution which is involved in some Western economies at least. But also it's asking questions to many producing countries like Qatar, of course, which could lead to not only produce natural gas, but maybe tomorrow hydrogen. So in fact, one of the key words would be innovation in such a moving world. And I think we need to face this moving, and it may be not only threats, it may be a lot of opportunities. It's an opportunity if you anticipate and if you accept to take it as an opportunity. So that's something on which we need to think all together. The past year, 2020, will be an historic year, I think. It's, nobody of us, I think there are 2 points for me, two very points. The first one is that everything can happen. None of us were thinking that such a pandemic could happen in the 21st century, and that we could suddenly destroy more or less the planet. All the model we built. We built a global world, and suddenly everybody went back to his country. A global move of people around the planet back home, and stayed at home, and so it's incredible. You have to keep in mind that everything can happen, so you need to have flexibility. The second point is that it reveals, I think, a form of fragility of the planet, because this global world seems to be just the path for the future, and suddenly a small virus, I don't know if it's small or big, but a small virus, put us in strange conditions where a form of panic, and the reaction was very strange, again, lockdown, go back to home. So that means fragility, and probably accelerating in the mindset of people the fact that we must take care of the planet, and it's back to climate change, it's back to biodiversity, it's back to sustainable development goals. So I think, and in particular for a young generation, our young people, the younger ones, the ones who will face climate change in 2050, not us, not my generation. I think for them, it's their sense of the fragility is probably even more acute than before. So that's the lessons I took from this year. I think our global community today is maybe not so global. The first challenge we'll have is to recreate the global community. And it could take time, because you have the countries where people are vaccinated, but you have plenty of continents like Africa, South America, emerging countries, which is not the case. I'm afraid that you have a trend of fracturation in the planet. You can have another view, which is not against the global world, which is the people who are safe. And you see even in Western developed countries, politically, you see a trend in elections where people would like to go home, to close the borders, so against the global world. So that's something which could take time, which we should not underestimate. I'm a little pessimistic that we will open the world again next year. I think we take more time to get trust between us, to recreate all the trust. At the same time, we need the global world if we want to face climate change, because climate change is a global challenge. And there is no way to solve the issue if we behave in a selfish way. Because even if Europe is neutral, it's only 9% of the emission. And the real issue for the planet is more what will happen in India with 2 or 3 billion people, what will happen in China, what will happen in Africa. And that requires, because they are emerging economy, a global answer, where you will organize some transfer from the rich economies to the emerging ones. So it's a huge challenge for me for the next decades and 2 decades, which means how do we organize a world where you have a trend to saturation, and we will require more global answer to face the global challenge of the planet.